Good afternoon, class. Now we'll be looking at science, but I have an item here that I want you to look at and we'll identify the topic for today. Now, in my hand here, I want you to try and guess what the topic will be about. Yes, Ashley, it will be about plants. Anything else specifically? Thereon? Alright, so I'll take that. We'll be looking at specifically flowering and non-flowering plants. Now, if you look at this, both plants are in the same bucket. But if you look at here, you'll notice the flower, right? So this tea bush is considered a flowering plant because you can notice the flowers here. As opposed to this decorative plant, you don't have any flowers, right? So that is one difference we can tell between flowering and non-flowering plants. One has flowers when the other one doesn't, right? So pay attention to the chart and we'll be reading together slowly. Don't rush it so we can understand. Flowering and non-flowering plants. Plants that produce flowers are called angiosperms or flowering plants. Flowering plants produce flowers to ensure rapid fertilization and pollination, resulting in a fruit containing seeds. They also make use of the amazing colors and great scents to attract insects. Non-flowering plants do not produce seeds, fruits, or flowers. They usually reproduce through spores. They include the cryptosperms and the gymnosperms. However, gymnosperms are a seed-bearing group of plants. Good, so just as I was saying earlier with the Relia flowering plants, the difference you can tell if you look here on the chart is that one has flowers when the other doesn't. Because if you look at this fern, you notice that there aren't any flowers. It's just green, right? Good. So that's one way you can tell the difference between the two. Also, on the non-flowering plant, since they don't have seeds, fruits, or flowers, they produce through spores. So at the back of these plants, if you turn the leaf, you're going to find some little spotty things on it. That is what you call the spores, and that is how non-flowering plants reproduce, as opposed to how flowering plants reproduce. So now we'll go more in depth, but with you. Now we'll watch a video on flowering and non-flowering plants.
Learn about flowering and non-flowering plants. Flowers look so lovely. These are the fruits of the flowering plants. There are small seeds inside the fruits. Flowering plants are a type of vascular plant which produces flowers in order to reproduce. Scientific name for the flowering plants is angiosperms. You'll notice the flowering plants easily. These plants are the dominant and most familiar group of land plants. In this garden, you can see so many flowering plants. Show the pictures to your friends. This vibrant hibiscus, the mangoes tree, and the papaya are some of the flowering plants. Let's have a look at the stages of life cycle of the flowering plants. Seed. They start their lives as seeds. Seeds are covered with a hard outer shell that protects the embryo inside it. Germination. The seed needs air, water, and soil to grow. At first, tiny roots are emerged, and then the stem grows. Seedling. Young plant emerges in this stage. You can easily see small leaves in the tiny plants. Mature plant. In this stage, the seedling continues to grow into a full mature plant with roots, stems, and leaves. Flowering. The mature plant grows flowers. The flowers will produce seeds through pollination. When the seeds end up on the ground, the life cycle starts all over again. Open the diagram of life cycle of a flowering plant. Seed, germination, seedling, mature plant, flowering, and the same repeats again. See, this mountain beaver is happily playing with the fern leaves? The fern plants do not use flowers to reproduce. This type of plants which do not produce flowers are called the non-flowering plants. The spore bags are located on the back of the leaf. These are sorus, the groups of sporangia which contain spores. And here, these are spores which are further used in reproduction in the non-flowering plants. There are two main types of non-flowering plants. Plants like mosses and fern that use spores to reproduce. These are the pine trees, which are conifers. They use seeds to reproduce and are called gymnosperms. Let's have a look at the life cycle of a non-flowering plant fern which uses spores for reproduction. At first, tiny spores starts to appear on the leaves. These form on the undersides of the leaves in spore cases called sporangia. In second stage, the mature gamophyte produces both male and female gametes. Then the zygote develops. It contains a complete set of DNA to form a new fern plant. Final stage is sporophyte. They grow and releases spores. Then the life cycle starts again. Now look at this pine tree. The gymnosperms, like pine and other conifers, reproduce using their cones. If the pollen lands on a female cone, then the female cone will produce seeds. After this, new plants grow from the seed. You're planting a plant. Very good. Besides providing oxygen for you to breathe, plants make life on Earth sustainable. So, we should take care of the plants.
Okay, so that video was very edifying, and I'm sure it helped clarify any you had, right? So now I'll be asking you some questions to see if you're paying keen attention. So we're going to start from the video. I'm going to call the persons I want to answer the question. Don't put up your hands. Good. So from the video, tell me in your own words, what are flowering plants? What are flowering plants? Okay then, please answer. Stand. Okay, plants that have flowers. Alright. Now, Calvin, please tell me what are non-flowering plants in your own words. Okay, plants that doesn't have flowers. Now, which type of plant use spores to reproduce? Which type of plant uses spores to reproduce? Aquila. Marcy, help her. Which type of plant uses spores to reproduce? Non-flowering plants, exactly. Because non-flowering plants, it don't have seeds or fruits or flowers. So there's no way that you can have anything to fall on the ground and reproduce because they don't have seeds. So they use spores. But spores is what will fall and then reproduce to help the plant continue to bear. Tell me how you would explain to your friend and direct them where to go and look for spores on non-flowering plants. Azaria, please stand and answer that question. Think of me as a friend. Explain it in your way. How you can direct me to find spores on non-flowering plants. Sorry. At the back of the plant. Exactly. Because remember I said, if you go at the back of a plant for non-flowering, you would notice that it has small holes there. And that is called spores. Good. Now, what is the importance of pollination? What is the importance of pollination? Let me ask Naomi. Naomi, what is the importance of pollination? Alright, you're partially correct. But pollination is important because through pollination, that is how the plants reproduce. They attract the insects come, the pollen grains stick on them, and they carry it to another plant, and that is how they reproduce. Or another agent of pollination is wind. The wind would blow the pollen grains onto another plant, and that is how it will go on. Right? So for activity today, I place you in 3 groups. I'm going to call forward Kaden, Michaela, and Roy. You take one from here and I'll number you in groups quickly, and you do your activity, right? So Kaden take one, Michaela take one, and Roy take one, right? So I'm going to number you group 1, group 2, group 3, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 1, group 2, group 3, right? So Michaela, let me get activities. Michaela is group 1. Her group will be looking at differences between flowering and non-flowering plants. This is what group 1, all those who are in group 1, this is what you will be doing. Okay? Now for group 2 members, you will be doing matching the name of the plant to the type of the plant. This is what group 2 members will be doing. Group 3, we'll be answering a few questions on pollination. So get into the groups quickly. We're going to answer this, and we're going to resume to do a recap in the form of a game. Group 1 worksheet. The differences between the two types of plants. The first difference, flowering plants have flowers, non-flowering plant doesn't have flowers, so that is correct. Flowering plants reproduce through seeds, non-flowering plants reproduce through spores. Okay. Flowering plants bear fruit, non-flowering plants doesn't bear fruit. Those are all correct, right? I explained to you just now. Now, group 3. Group 3, you will define, let me show you activity. Group 1, group 3 had to answer questions on pollination. Now, what is pollination? They said pollination is the process of transferring pollen grains one plant to another. Alright, good. See the importance so that reproduction can take place. Exactly, because if you don't have pollination, then the plants will not be able to create replicas of themselves. They won't be able to reproduce and continue the cycle, right? They will just come up, bear, and just die, and nothing will come again, right? And we need plants. So pollination is very important. 2 agents of pollination, they said wind and animal, specifically insects, right? Like I explained before, insects will go on the flowers, the pollen grains will stick, and they go on to the next. Now the final worksheet for group 2 is matching the plants to the types. Now they matched fern to non-flowering, that is correct. Hibiscus to flowering, that is correct. Stinging nettle to flowering, and pomegranate to flowering. So this is the end of the worksheets that we just went through. Please remember that the scientific name for flowering plants are angiosperms. Pollination is the movement of pollen grains from one plant to another. And gymnosperms, an example is the pine cones and recap with just 3 questions. We're gonna do it in the form of a game, right? Split yourselves, boys on one team, girls on one team. You're gonna win this pencil case, right? And we used in class for in-class activities, right? So the first question: if the girls can't answer the question, it will move on to the boys, and the boys will have the point, right? The first question to the girls: what is the scientific name for flowering plants? All right, the correct pronunciation is angiosperms. So girls, the girls got that. Boys, what is pollination? Moving of pollen grains. Okay, the boys got that. So far each team have 1. The final one going to the girls: what part of the flowering plant attract insects? Answer that, so it's going on to the boys. What part of the flower attract insects? The plant, sorry. Yes, flowers. Exactly. The flowers attract insects. So the boys win that. And I unconsciously tried to repeat the question, and the answer was in there, but Thankfully, they did not notice that. So that will be the end of today's activity. The boys won the color pencils. For your homework, please have pick two plants for each type, dried and paste in your books. And I need you to have the life cycle of both flowering and non-flowering plants. You can either print it out or you can draw it and paste it in your books. That is all.